All right. All right.
Okay, it's recording now.
Now recording. So,
Okay.
to
All
the
right.
Greenbelt
So,
Unplugged College Park Arts Exchange collaborative Zoom session of improv play, interactive games. You guys want to try some storytelling?
Yes.
yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. So, I'm gonna do this as a conducted thing. So we're gonna jump out of order, but keep your numbers on your screen so then I can conduct. We can jump from person to person. So I think what we need is the name of a hero or heroine of our story. Who has it?
Ophelia.
Ophelia. Okay, so our heroine is Ophelia. That's who this story is about. And honestly, that's really all we need for a story. So you know the Exquisite Corpse game where you write down a sentence of a story and then you fold it and pass it on to somebody else. This is gonna be a little bit like that, except you do get to hear it as it goes on. So I will start with somebody and then just keep telling the story of Ophelia, and then I will call out somebody else's number, and so then you stop talking if somebody else gets called, and then when it's your number, you keep talking and just carry on the story from where it was. You take it wherever you want, and we'll find out what happens to Ophelia today. All right, so let's see. Let's start with number 8. Let's start with you, Jenny.
Ophelia told her boyfriend that she was done with his crap and she was leaving. And she picked up the cat and she walked out the door and slammed it behind her. And she walked down to the taxi stand and she got a taxi and got in the taxi and told the taxi to take her to the airport. And when she was at the airport, she bought a train ticket to New York City. And when she got to New York City, she went to Greenwich Village and walked through the park. And she found a man playing guitar. And she sat and watched and listened to him play guitar for a while. And she let the cat nestle down in his guitar case and play with the tips he'd already received.
Number 6.
Well, poor Ophelia had never dropped acid before, so she wasn't prepared for all of these adventures and experiences. And so she just fell to the floor and just looked up and stared up at all the colors and all the images that were roaming through her head, from the village to the train to the plane to the dots that were dancing all across the horizon. And she couldn't remember if her boyfriend was there or not there, or if she had a boyfriend, or if her name was even Ophelia. But it was a gloriously fun day, because after all, in the land of COVID, what else can you do? And so she just kept on with these images and just really enjoyed it, because she couldn't actually be around another human being. And so in the land of COVID and acid, Ophelia just continued on her merry way through the never, never land of Alice in Wonderland adventures, where she ran into this rabbit that kept getting bigger and smaller and pinker and greener and redder and oranger. And whoa, was this ever intense.
All right, carry on number 4. Pat.
Okay. So after, she encountered, the white rabbit, she went down the rabbit hole and she saw all this, wonderful, strange landscape, like cellophane trees and marmalade skies. And saw Lucy in the sky with diamonds, riding past on, a unicorn. And the plasticine porters holding up.
Number 3.
The next morning, she woke up in a gutter wearing somebody else's clothes she didn't recognize. Half of her hair was shaved off, and she doesn't know where it went. And she got up and walked down the street until she found someone, asked them, "Excuse me, sir, what year is it?" And he just looked at her and said, "I think you need some orange juice." So he took her to the local store, the cafe down the street, and cleaned her up a little bit, cleaned the drool off her chin, and gave her a glass of orange juice. And they fell in love.
Number 5.
After they fell in love, they started walking and talking and thinking and doing other things that people fall in love do. Except they kept all their clothes on. And then they took them off. And then they decided that they should go swimming, but there was no water. So they started pantomiming, swimming, and fell into a very deep depression as a result of the frustration they were feeling.
Number 2.
Then they ended up in the hospital because it got bad.
Over to you, number 2.
In the hospital, all the nurses and doctors were busy with COVID patients. So poor Ophelia and this no-name man that she was in love with just were ignored. They were both put on a gurney and left in a hallway. And they decided, well, to heck with this, we're going to Jamaica. So they hopped off the gurney, went back to the airport, decided to take a plane instead of a train to Jamaica. But then the stewardess said, "Excuse me, folks, you just don't have any clothes. You need clothes to get on this airline." So they said, "We don't have any." So the stewardess said, "That's okay, I have a couple blankets." So they put a couple blankets on and got to their seats. And luckily, there weren't many people on the floor, so they each got their own place to sit without being close to anyone. When they landed, they realized they weren't in Jamaica. They looked at their tickets and realized that they were in Jerusalem. And they thought, this is kind of cool. Hey, let's go to all of the holy places. So off they went. And when they were there, they saw extraordinary things. And they thought they saw 3 prophets at the same time. But they didn't know anything about religion, so they couldn't name them. Just they knew they were prophets by the way they looked. So they started following them. And when they followed them, they went into this big cathedral. Inside the cathedral, there was beautiful lights and people were getting married. And they thought, hey, we're in love. Let's get married. So they did. After the marriage, they needed to take a honeymoon. And they thought, well, we're not very good at traveling because look how we got here. Walked and walked and walked. And then they were in the desert. And I thought, what are we going to do? We have no water. We have no money. We're walking around with blankets around us. So they started digging. As they were digging, they came upon a cave. And in the cave, there were weird animals. Animals with no eyes, animals with no color, animals that really couldn't do anything.
Number 1. And then they realized that these animals that they found in the cave were crocheted animals, which were made of the other half of Ophelia's hair, which had somehow also ended up in Jerusalem. The prophetic magic of the prophets had come to life. So these poor animals crawling around without knowing how to do anything, Ophelia felt an instant kinship to them because they were made of the other half of her hair. And they as well felt an instant kinship to her, recognizing the half of her hair that remained on her. These crocheted hair animals swarmed up, and now Ophelia and her new husband had clothes.
Ah.
Into the hot desert sun. However, there was one problem. Her husband still didn't have a name. Her nameless boyfriend was now her nameless husband and had no name. So they decided to name him Jamaica after the place he intended to go when they went to Jerusalem. So as they walked across the burning sands of the Negev, in the general direction of Mount Sinai, wearing their strangely comfortable crocheted clothes made after half of Ophelia's hair, they told each other stories, Jamaica and Ophelia, that made almost as much sense as this. I think that's where we'll leave them for now in their ongoing quest. A wonderful story, everybody.